And we are back. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to set up your environment to win without using motivation or discipline. So if you've been following along with this series, we have looked at the discipline trifle. We've dealt with actions, shrinking the actions down. We've dealt with the decision custard, locking in your decisions ahead of time. And now we are going to look at environment. So environment, as we know, is super important. But the key thing with environment, it makes good behavior or desired behavior easier to do and makes undesirable behavior harder to do. So instead of thinking that you need to be more disciplined or you need more motivation, all you need is better design, better environmental design. This is video number 3 in a 4-part series. If you haven't seen video 1 and 2, please go and check that out. But stay with me if you have. So the limitation with only focusing on action and decisions is they will be superseded by environment. We all know that the most important part of a trifle is the sponge at the bottom. Okay? If the sponge isn't there or it's runny or it's just fucked, everything upstream is affected. Okay? Now, let me prove this to you. Let's say, for example, you are a alcoholic and you've got these closed decisions, and you've decided that you do not want to drink. And you've also shrunk the action down. But somebody, for some fucking reason, takes you to a fucking brewery. You will be pissed within minutes. Within minutes. You would have relapsed. We would have to call the doctors. It would have been fucked. Okay? The environment supersedes these 2 points, the action point and the decision point. Okay? So environment is super important. And people talk about environment in terms of you've heard the quote, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. What about you're the sum of the 5 places that you visit the most? It's actually a combination of the 2 things. For those of you who don't know, my name is Imtiaz and I help business owners with their mindset so they can grow their business. Kind of like Tony Robbins, like an Asian Tony Robbins, if Tony had a criminal record. Sorry, Tony. Love you to bits. But let's go. Now, before we do actually get into teaching you how to lock in your environment, I want to let you know that my doors for the Syndicate program are opening next week. If you aren't already on the wait list, check out the link in the description. There's a few free tools that you can use there as well that are going to help you lock in your environment. Every environment has 3 functions when it comes to behavior: cue, start, and stop. I want you to think of cue as the trigger, the thing that gets you going or thinking about something. The next is start. How easy or difficult is it to start the behavior? And finally, stopping. How difficult or easy is it to stop the behavior? I want you to think of these as 3 dials that we can twist to either push out a behavior that we don't want to do anymore or bring in a behavior that we do want to do. Now, I'm going to give you a live example. We're going to focus on getting rid of a negative behavior, because for us to adopt positive behaviors, goal-aligned behaviors, we need to get rid of some shit. It's almost like going to a buffet where your plate is already piled up and you're trying to pile more behaviors onto it and it spills over and then you're really frustrated and then you fall back into whatever you were doing before. Okay, so we don't want to have that issue here. We need to get rid of some stuff, and that's why we're going to tackle getting rid of bad behaviors first. And they do work slightly different from good behaviors, but we'll get into that in a second. So, with a bad behavior, or a negative behavior, let's pick fast food, for example. Okay, now I want you to imagine this. You're tired. It's Friday. You've had a long week at work. You're driving home. And once you're getting through the door, shoes come off and you sit on the sofa. You're knackered. You're exhausted. And you're fucking hungry. So what do? You pull out your phone and you order off Uber Eats. Now, these guys, when it comes to food apps, have got it absolutely on smash. They've made it super easy. They trigger you to take action with notifications daily. They make it really easy to start ordering. All you got to do is press a couple of buttons and voila, you've ordered. And they make it really difficult to stop when it comes to ordering, because they keep suggesting add-ons and do you want to try a dessert and this dip and this drink and this side. And before you know it, you've got a massive meal in front of you that is probably 10,000 calories and you consume the entire fucking thing and there goes your diet. Does that sound familiar? Is that relatable? Is this making sense? Cool. Now, for us to get rid of that behavior, we need to do 3 things, okay? So first, we need to attack the cue. We need to turn this dial all the way down. Now, the cue in this moment might have been you driving home. You're tired, okay? The Friday drive home from work. How about we redirect your attention or change the cue completely? Of course, you've got to be able to drive home from work. Otherwise, you'll never go home. So that's not doable. But how about instead of going straight home, you stopped at the supermarket and picked up some shopping, some healthy stuff. So we've turned down the cue dial. Next, we need to make it more difficult to actually start ordering junk food, to start doing the negative behavior that we're trying to get rid of. We need to make it more difficult. So we need to turn the dial all the way up. And how do we do that? We get rid of the apps. We cause friction. We unsubscribe to the emails and the SMS messages that you're constantly bombarded with. We create friction, which makes it way more difficult for you to go and order a Mackey's or a Chinese or whatever the fuck you're into, okay? And finally, we need to make it easy to stop. Now, when it comes to negative behavior, once you cross this line, you've already fucked up, okay? This final dial is about damage elimination, okay? And we need to turn that down. So, when you are in the midst of fucking up your life, again, okay? And this does take skill, and it's difficult, I get it. But damage limitation is key. Instead of ordering all the dips, all the sides, the dessert, the milkshake, the add-on after add-on, just order one meal, man. Just order a burger, just order something basic, okay? And that way, you've made some sort of progress instead of absolutely losing your mind and thinking like a dummy and ordering what you normally order, okay? And this can be applied to any negative behavior. So do take this example with a pinch of salt. I want you to think about, just for a second, what is the one behavior that you've got that you really want to get rid of? What is the cue? What triggers you? Is it stress? Is it a certain person? Is it a place? Is it a time of the day or a time of the week or the month? Okay, cool. How can you manipulate and turn down that cue? How can we get rid of it? And if we can't get rid of it, how can we manipulate that cue so we can redirect the action towards something positive? In this scenario, I said we're going to go shopping. So what's going to happen once you come home? You're going to have the shopping. You're going to cook something with the family. You're going to have a nice, healthy meal. This is where you've got to catch it, okay? This is the most important section. However, we do also need to support it with the friction that we cause on the start. And if we do fuck up and we do order that food, limit the amount of food that you're going to order. Limit the amount of damage that you're going to do. Cool. Next, we need to look at positive behaviors. And these work slightly differently. Okay. So, with positive behaviors, we actually need to crank up the cue. We need to make it easy to start, okay? We'll use the gym as an example, okay? Now, a lot of the time, people will try to go home from the gym and they will go home, sit down for 2 minutes, and then they're meant to be going to the gym and nothing happens. They stay at home. They write it off till the following day or whenever. The cue is going home. How about we have the gym kit with us? How about we have the bag ready? We turn up the cue, we make it easy, okay? Make it accessible. The next thing we need to do is make it really easy to start. So we turn down the friction required to start, okay? So what could this be? We could use the tool that we used in the first video. We can think about the first action step. In fact, I'll leave the link for the first video here if you haven't watched it. We reduce the action step and we hold it down with a boulder, which is consisting of external pressure and also time, a time constraint. And finally, we make it really hard to stop, okay? We've got to crank this all the way up. And for me, external pressure and public accountability is key. You can use a coach. You can declare it on, I don't know, Instagram. You can tell people at work, your staff, let it be known that I'm going to be doing this thing. Because when you do stop, if you do stop, hopefully you don't stop, it'll be that much more difficult. You could also use things like training partners if you're thinking about the gym. Partners. But you do need some sense of external accountability to make this happen, to make it hard to stop. Because the issue isn't starting the behavior. The issue isn't starting posting on social media. The issue isn't doing the outreach, having the conversations, making the sales. That's not the issue. The issue is keeping it going. Because these two are pretty easy when it comes to a positive behavior. I mean, we're in February now. I'm sure all of you started a positive behavior in January. And where is it now? Nowhere to be seen, because you haven't got this final dial cranked all the way up. So just to recap, every behavior that you've got, or you're trying to acquire, or you're trying to get rid of, is dependent on your environment, because it supersedes your decision making and your action taking. Environment is fucking key. And remember, you've got these 3 dials that you can crank on depending what you're trying to do, depending whether you want to get rid of a behavior or you want to adopt a behavior. Very simple. Like I said earlier, the doors for the Syndicate open next week. However, the waitlist is in the description below, alongside the free tools that I mentioned earlier to help you with your environment. If you feel like working with myself could be the thing for you and help you grow your business by working on your mindset, then apply. I will be selecting the best applicants. There are 3 spots available this month. So if you feel like, yeah, Imti's the one who can help me, tap in. I want to come clean about something. Remember what I said, that there are 3 layers to the discipline trifle. That is true. But we forgot about the most important piece when it comes to a trifle. The actual container. And we are going to be covering that in next week's training. So make sure you're looking for that. Make sure you're subbing to the channel. I'll see you there. Peace.